Boo bitches! Welcome to episode 137 of C3 Crystals, Cauldrons, and Cocktails. I am River, and I'm here all by myself today because Ren has been super sick, and I am so sorry we are late with all of this. I hurt my back, and between her being sick, it just hasn't happened. So I talked to her a little while ago. She's sounding better. I think she will be able to join us in the next couple of episodes. I know we're also behind on an After Dark episode, which I may or may not have to do by myself. But after that, I think she'll be good to go. So we are thinking of you. We thank you for thinking of us. Several of you have emailed us to check on us, and we truly appreciate it. We have just been between my back and her sickness, it's not been good. So today, we're going to talk a little bit about which religions, and there's tons of them out there. There are as many religions as there are gods and other deities out there that someone may choose to worship, or or nature even can be worshipped. So I'm not drinking anything but water right now. I'm on pain meds, so I am a little loopy without the alcohol, so no alcohol for me today. But in our Letha episode that's coming up, we had been playing with drink ideas for that. So we will be telling you about a cocktail that we have come up with for Letha, which is later this month. Okay, so there are many witch religions out there, and each one can be super individual. Even people who worship the same deity do so differently based on their individual practice. So we were curious about, what is out there? What does it say is out there? So we decided to do this as a topic. So Wicca is probably the most well-known of witch religions, and some people even think that Wicca is witchcraft, but that isn't the case. While all Wiccans are witches, not all witches are Wiccan. So Wicca honors, and I am just talking in general here because even Wiccans who have a fairly well-known model out there that they follow, even they all differ depending on their own individuality. So basically, Wicca honors the divine as the horned god and the triple goddess who takes on the forms of maiden, mother, and crone. And did you know it's actually kind of funny that the use of horns, I was thinking about the horned god, and so I, different cultures and different religions have used the horn. And in Christianity, of course, for example, the devil is seen with horns, but a lot of other deities are portrayed with horns. And I wanted to know a little bit more about, I never really thought about what is a horn. So I looked it up. And horns are different from antlers because they're not branched. So they an antler is branched, like you see of a deer with the branched antlers. Horns are not branched. They grow throughout an animal's life, and both males and females can have them, like the adorable little goats that are out there. I just love them. But horns have a bone core, which is covered by a keratin sheath, which is similar to like our fingernails. We got a lot of keratin in our hair as well. And growth rings on the horns can be used to age the animal, which I thought that was fascinating. So I don't know why thinking of the horned god made me go off on that tangent of, well, what about horns? So anyway, that's what I did. So did you know? So there is a Wicca is a fairly modern witchcraft religion that emphasizes the worship of nature, polytheism, and the practice of magic. And they say it was founded in the mid 20th century by Gerald Gardner, and it is one of the most well-known witch religions. So the core beliefs are the polytheism. Wiccans typically believe and worship multiple deities. They often are conceptualized as a god and a goddess, representing the masculine and the feminine divine forces. These deities can take on different forms, names from different mythologies. Another core belief is reincarnation. Many Wiccans believe in some form of reincarnation, or at least some form of afterlife where the soul is reborn into new bodies and lives. Another cornerstone of Wicca is nature. Wicca places a super strong emphasis on the worship and or at least the reverence of nature. So the nature cycles, the seasons, the phases of the moon, the Sabbats of the year, the wheel of the year, all of these are very, very important to the Wiccan practice. So for their their rituals and ceremonies, Wiccans perform these things usually in connection with the lunar or solar cycles. So key rituals are the SBATs, which I think we've done an episode on the SBATs before, and those are rituals that are held on full moons and new moons. And then there's the Sabbats, which are the 8 seasonal festivals that make up the wheel of the year, including Samhain, Beltane, Yule. There's 8 of them. So the magic of Wicca, basically Wicca involves magic that's often referred to as the old ways or the craft. And this includes spell work, divination, the use of tools like wands, athames, chalices, that kind of thing. Some Wiccans have extremely formal ways of practice, and some are less formal. The ethics of Wicca, they have an ethical code that is often maybe called the Wiccan Rede, and it is, and it harm none, do what you will. This emphasizes personal responsibility and the importance of not causing harm to others. And it also kind of brings us to that threefold rule, which is a concept that is associated with Wicca. And that is the ethical principle that suggests that whatever energy or actions a witch sends out into the world, whether it's positive or negative, is going to return back to them 3 times as powerful. And the rule is sometimes expressed as, quote, what you send out comes back to you 3 times, end quote, or, quote, whatever you do, whether good or bad, will return to you threefold, end quote. And I've seen a lot of discussions amongst witches on the different social medias about, we don't believe in that. Okay, well, this is a Wicca religion, and that is a reed that goes with Wicca. You don't have to be Wiccan to be a witch. You can have your own path. The structure of Wicca is, well, actually, it can be solitary, it can be groups, or it can actually be a formal coven. And covens are typically led by a high priest or high priestess. So, like I said, it can be very, very formal, which some people find comfort in that there's an actual rule of law to follow. The initiation is often something that the Wicca community and religion has, where there are these traditions that you have to go through this initiation process in order to become a member of a coven or to advance higher and higher in the hierarchy of that coven or that religion. So basically, this is a religion that is constantly evolving, and many Wiccans practice in many different ways. But that's just some of the basics of it. And I was really curious about it because I don't really do the deities, although I have said before that Lilith is nudging me, and I don't, anyway, that's a whole different story. The next one I came across is Druidry, and it is also called Druidism. And it is a modern spiritual or religious movement that promotes the cultivation of honorable relationships with the physical landscapes, flora, fauna, and diverse peoples of the world, as well as with nature deities and spirits of nature and place. So I came up across one website that totally reminded me of Ren. They called Druids the prehistoric hippies, which I thought that was pretty hilarious. But Druids are steeped in over 2 millennia of history, probably even farther back than that. That's just what we know of. They say it originated with the elite and educated people among the Celts. Did you know that oaks and all things oak related were incredibly sacred to the Druids? In fact, the word Druid means knowing the oak tree in Gaelic. Thought that was interesting. Druidry is not as structured as Christianity or Islam or Judaism or other religions that you might know of out there. It does not hold to any strict dogma. There is no universal sacred text like the Bible or the Quran, and the believers do not meet at weekly, like Christians meet on Sundays and Jews meet on Saturdays for services. There are no set beliefs, things like a specific deity or the afterlife or other questions that most religions preoccupy themselves with. Rather, it is up to the individual druid to practice as that individual focuses and meshes with the world around them. So there are a bunch of different types of druids. There's the animist druid, and these druids focus on interaction with the spirits of nature. Polytheist druid focuses on working closely with one or more deities, often in a pantheon. Monotheist druids blend traditions from other belief systems like Christianity and kind of make it their own, but at least they pull from that to come up with their belief and path. Atheist or agnostic druids emphasize druidry as a path of life, and they focus on connecting with nature, which I think is very cool. Pantheists or Gnostics recognize that all are one and everything is connected. And I like that idea too. I do believe in that. Now, druidry has a set of paths. So there is the path of the ovate, and I apologize if I pronounce things wrong. You know how Ren and I are. The path of the ovate focuses on building connections, knowledge, and interactions with the living earth and all the natural world. The details may differ based on each individual because it is a very individualistic religion, but these practices and knowledge can include learning about nature through maybe the study of mycology, botany, astronomy, geology, that kind of thing. So they can be a very, quote, scientific religion. This path also often finds that the connections between humans and the interaction with nature, like wood foraging skills, herbalism skills, bushcraft, ancestral and earth skills, are very important in this path, this particular path of druidry. This path also includes humans' interaction with and the regeneration of the living earth, such as through land healing, gardening, rewilding, and permaculture. And then finally, this path says that the interaction with the spirits of nature or the metaphysical aspects of nature should be or can be included, such as perhaps plant spirit communication, which I can actually see one of our patrons doing. I know Greg works with plants a lot, and I can actually see him perhaps practicing plant spirit communication or magical herbalism, which I know he is a green witch. So he's got little pieces of druidry in his practice as well. This next path is called the path of the druid. And this is the second path of druidry, which includes all things metaphysical and focused on bridging that inner and outer world and the mysteries of the spirit. So this may include rituals and various kinds of magical work or energy work. It almost always includes a commitment to both daily practices and daily meditation, which I think is a good thing in today's world. Meditation is very important. It might also include studies of the great questions of the universe. Those big questions. Who are we? How are we connected to everything? Are we all really made of stardust? Which I do love that thought that we are all part of the universe and the universe is all part of us. And it might also include things like peacemaking and leadership. And the final path of druidry is the path of the bard, the ancient storytellers, the historians, the entertainers. And these druids draw upon the ancient bardic arts, just like you would see in the movies, the Dungeons and Dragons type movies. You've got the bards. Witcher has a bard in that show. And this druid in this path draws upon those arts, and they are generally tied to all kinds of creative practices. They might practice through performance by dancing or singing or creating music. They could be literary in writing, poetry, fiction, nonfiction, or it could be some kind of craft like jewelry making, blacksmithing, leatherwork, woodwork, and then visual as well. So like drawings or paintings or sculptors. So um, that I think is a fun path for the druidry. But central to this path is the emphasis on channeling the Awen, Awen, and I don't know if that's how it's pronounced, Awen or Awen. It's basically a Welsh term that means divine or flowing inspiration or connecting to the sacred flow of creativity. And I would say that given the historical druids were also considered to be soothsayers, I would expect that modern druidry would probably use divination practices a lot. Um, but a major focus of this particular religion is nature. And Druids do a lot of their own work in nature, like meditating in nature, hiking in nature. They do their spiritual practices and rituals in nature. So I think that is a very cool religion. The next one is one I have never heard of before. It's called fairy witchcraft, Feri. However, it is also fairy, Fairy, and Faery, but the actual name of it is fairy, Feri. And it is a form of traditional witchcraft, and it is an American-born religion. It is kind of, it takes things from hoodoo and voodoo and huna and Wicca and Yoruba and Gwydon, which is Welsh witchcraft, Appalachian folk tradition, all kinds of things. This religion, it's it's mainly a West Coast religion in the United States, but very interesting. And I really had never heard of it until I started doing witch religion research. But the core belief is of the star goddess as the foundation of all existence, who made love to herself and brought forth the twins. So fairy is an ecstatic, sexual, creative type religion, but it isn't really concerned with fertility like a lot of religions are. The cycles of the seasons are important, but only in the sense that we connect to where we are. So if it's winter, we're connecting with the earth as winter. There is no strict adherence to seasons and their festivals, but they do have central holidays that they practice, which is Samhain, because of the honor of the ancestors and the veil thinning at that time, and Beltane, which is the other end of things, the sex end of things. But they believe that ritual connects them to the spirit world. They have energies of God and goddesses and gods and goddesses, God and God and God and God and any combination. I know that just came out really bumbled, but basically they use the energy of the forces. It could be two females, it could be a male and a female, it could be two males, and they can do that and use that energy in any combination and express it in their lives. So sexuality is a creative expression of life force to the fairy witches. It is a form of sexual energy springing forth from your life force. And I kind of agree with that, honestly. Even though I had never heard of this and I don't do the deity thing, I do believe that sexual energy is an expression of your life force. It is a connection to you and to another. And that is kind of divine in and of itself, I think. But anyway, their core beliefs are divine eminence. They believe that divinity is inherent in all things, meaning that the divine is present in the natural world, within each individual, everything is connected. Generally, they are polytheistic and they have animism as well in their tradition. Um, These deities might include a mixture of the traditional pagan gods and goddesses that we know about, as well as some unique fairy-specific deities that they came up with. Fairy teaches that each person has three souls or aspects of themselves, I guess. The talking self, which is your conscious mind, the younger self, which is your subconscious inner child, so to speak, and the God self, which is your divine aspect. And they believe every person has all three of these things. So in practice, they do a lot of ecstatic rituals. They aim to induce ecstatic states, fostering direct personal experiences with the divine. These rituals can include drumming, chanting, dancing, meditation. Their magic and witchcraft is the core of their religion, and it's used for personal transformation, for healing, for influencing the world. They might engage in spell work, divination, and other magical arts. Their energy work, they include techniques for raising and directing energy, such as grounding, centering, and using like the iron pinnacle, which represents the 5 key qualities: sex, pride, self, power, and passion. I also read that they place a really high emphasis on oral teaching as opposed to written teaching, especially those of a more poetic nature. Their ethical principles are that each person has a personal responsibility and ethical duty, and practitioners are encouraged to be mindful of their actions and their impact on not only others, but themselves as well. Honor and respect is a core principle for them. You should have respect for all beings, whether it's animals, humans, plants, spirits. That's a central tenet to this fairy religion. And fairy practitioners strive to live in harmony with the nature world. Nature world. Structure. They have individual and group practice. You can do it either way. But unlike some witchcraft traditions, fairy doesn't have any kind of formal initiation. If you do go to work with other people, you can choose to work with people in a loose coven relationship, but everybody's equal there. Or they might choose to work with a mentor, one person, or they might choose to mentor someone else, or they might choose to do this individually. They have a very strong mystery factor to their beliefs. It's often described as a mystery tradition, meaning that its deeper teachings and practices are typically transmitted through direct experience. They revel in the direct experience of things, the personal revelations rather than written texts. Kind of a neat religion. And then the next one is Stragaria. And I had heard this term like in movies dealing with Christianity. And so I was like, what is this? It is also known as La Vecchia Religione, the old religion. It is an Italian witchcraft tradition. And it draws from the folklore, mythology, and magical practices of pre-Christian Italy. Strega is actually the Italian word for witch, from what I understand. Stragaria is a rich and diverse tradition that honors the old Italian ways, blending mythology, folklore, magical practices into a cohesive spiritual path. It emphasizes the reverence of nature, the worship of ancient deities, and the importance of personal and ancestral connections. Their core beliefs are polytheism. They honor many deities, particularly those from the Roman and Etruscan pantheons. Key figures in this include the goddess Diana, associated with the moon and hunting and her wild nature, and her consort, Lucifer, which in this context is the god of light and enlightenment, not to be confused with the Christian devil. They also believe in ancestral worship. Ancestral veneration is a very important aspect which is honoring their ancestors and seeking their guidance and protection. And then there's also nature veneration. Strigaria places a strong emphasis on the natural world and its cycles, including the phases of the moon and the changing seasons. So the rituals and ceremonies and things that they might do, they often align with the lunar phases, especially the new and the full moons. They have seasonal festivals, which are similar to the Wicca Wheel of the Year, that are also celebrated, like Tragenda, and I don't know how to pronounce that, is a seasonal rite, which are seasonal rites such as the Festival of Tana, Tana, which is the summer solstice, and Shadowfest, which is Samhain. I love that word. Shadowfest, is that not the coolest way to talk about Samhain? I love it. I want to have a Shadowfest. Magic and spell work in Strigaria. Magic is central to the practice of Strigaria. It involves spells, divination, the use of magical tools. Common tools might be the Strega bowl, wand, the pinnacle. They have herbalism and folk magic uses in their religion. There is a strong tradition of natural remedies in this religion and making charms that draw on Italy's rich folk magic and heritage. The ethical principles are balance and harmony. They emphasize living in harmony with nature and the universe. This also includes a moral code that encourages balance and respect for all beings. See, and all of the religions that I was looking up that deal with witchcraft, this is a very common thing. Respect the earth, respect others. And here, these Christians, and they're like, oh, witches, they're so bad. They worship the devil, blah, blah, blah. That it's just amazing how everyone that I've looked up, there is this inner moral code of respecting nature and respecting the earth and balance and harmony. Like witches are the most amazing creatures, I think. Anyway, they also have ethical personal responsibility. They're responsible for their own actions, for their own energies that they put out into the world. They really want you to be careful with what energy you give out to the world. The principle of cause and effect, maybe like karma, I'm not sure, but that kind of thing is often highlighted. So you do something that causes something, there is an effect to that. And the karma aspect of that is that it might come back to bite you in the ass. So, think about that. Their structure is that they do also solitary and group practices, but the groups are known as groves as opposed to covens, which I thought is cool. I love that. On Facebook, I follow a group that is called the Witch's Grove or something like that. I think that's really cool. But covens or groves may be led by an experienced practitioner or an elder. And generally, they don't have a formal initiation, but there are some within the Strigaria traditions that do include initiation rites to mark the dedication of their fellow witches. One of the main tools is that Strega bowl, and it is a ritual bowl that's used for mixing herbs, holding sacred water, or as a focal point in rituals. So basically, like what I consider my altar bowl is what I use. I have many, many altar bowls that I keep on my altar that I use for water or holding plants or that kind of thing. They also use the wand and the pinnacle. Those are common tools in Strigaria. Really neat concept. So the last one, and this one is super broad and super in depth, so I'm not going to go into the depth that I could. I think we could do several episodes on this, is shamanism. So it is a very broad and ancient spiritual belief found in many different cultures around the world, and it is basically characterized by the belief in an interaction with the spirit world through altered states of consciousness, usually achieved by a witch known as a shaman. The core beliefs are, and I understand, I really don't want to offend anybody. This is just a very skimming of the shaman tradition, just like all of my notes today were very not in depth, but just as kind of an introduction to these different forms of religions, because there's so many out there. There's many more that, and we might have to do another episode on these. But animism is a central core of the shamanistic belief. Animals, plants, rocks, rivers, places all have spirits or consciousness. The world is seen as interconnected and alive with spiritual presence. And then there is the spirit world, which the shaman tradition holds that there is this unseen world of spirits that influences our physical world. And the spirit world is typically divided into 3 layers. The upper world, which is associated with higher beings and the ancestors. The middle world, which is our physical reality with spirits of nature. And the lower world, which is often a place or power where animals and spirits are in power. There is healing and guidance. Shamans, and I think supposedly shaman is both singular and plural. So I think it's shaman, not anyway. I keep saying shamans, so I apologize. They act as intermediaries between the physical world and the spirit world, and they seek to heal individuals, communities, and the environment by restoring balance and harmony. So a common practice in shamanism is the shamanistic or the shamanic journey. And that is where the shaman enters an altered state of consciousness, often through drumming, chanting, dancing, or maybe hallucinogens, sacred plants, that kind of thing, to travel to the spirit world. They also do healing rituals, which might include soul retrieval, which is to help you recover lost parts of a person's soul, extraction, removing negative energies or entities from a person or thing, plant, water, tree, whatever. A power animal retrieval, which connects individuals with their spirit guides or power animals, like the totems that we've often talked about. Divination is used to gain insight and guidance from the spirit world. Those can be from reading natural signs, interpreting dreams, using tools such as bones, stones, or cards. Shamanistic ceremonies often mark a significant life event, seasonal changes, community needs. It could include rites of passage, blessings, the purification rituals. The ethical principles of shamanism is that they emphasize the importance of maintaining balance and harmony within yourself, with others, and with the natural world. So see, this sounds familiar. A lot of the witchy religions do this. Respect for all beings. Shamans are taught to respect all forms of life and to recognize the interconnectedness of all things. So the structure of the shaman religion, the shamanic, religion can be individual or community roles. Anyone can practice these techniques for personal growth, but traditionally you have a shaman who rises as a spiritual leader or a spiritual healer within a community. There is apprenticeship and initiation. It involves a calling to this and is often marked by a personal crisis or a profound spiritual experience, followed by a period of training and initiation under the guidance of an experienced shaman. The tools that are used in the shaman religion, shamanistic, I think I've made up a word here, are things like drums and rattles. These are commonly used, and they help induce the altered states of consciousness to facilitate the journey work. Power animals and spirit guides are often helped to it both individually and to other individuals. They help you find your guidance and protection and healing based on what your spirit animal is. Many shamanic traditions use specific plants for their medicinal and spiritual properties, including hallucinogenics, maybe for vision, quests, and healing ceremonies. But you've got to remember, this is a very, very broad term. There are all kinds of cultural variations. Shamanism is not a single unified religion that is the same way no matter where you go. It is a collection of practices that are found in all kinds of indigenous cultures. So, and each culture has their own unique traditions, their own rituals. So you might have heard of many of these. So you've got the Siberian shaman, which is often considered the archetype of the shamanic practice. It includes extensive use of drumming, trance states, and native and spirit journeys. You have the Native American shamanism, which not only is it diverse based on what country you're in, but even within countries, different tribes have different practices. They are diverse across various tribes, but they often include sweat lodges, vision quests, the use of sacred plants like tobacco or peyote. Amazonian shamanism. These are practices of the indigenous people of the Amazon basin, and they use a word that I can't pronounce, ayahuasca, for healing and spiritual insight, and Mongolian shamanism, which incorporates ancestral worship, nature veneration, and elaborate rituals to communicate with the spirit world. So it is a diverse spirit practice. I am so sorry. I guess even though I'm not drinking, I still can't talk. Shamanism is a diverse and ancient spiritual practice that emphasizes direct experience with the spirit world, healing, and maintaining harmony with nature. It involves a variety of techniques depending on where you are and what pieces you might want to take out of that. So very fun work to do the research on this, because it was eye-opening to me how many are concerned with nature and the earth and our relationships with one another as well as nature. The stereotypical witch that people think of, oh, they eat children or whatever, is just so far from the truth. It's not even funny. So we will probably do more episodes, or if you have a religion that you practice that you want us to talk about, or you're interested in and you want us to do the research for you, we would love to do that. So let us know and we can do that. I'm sorry Rin wasn't here. I know I am not nearly as interesting without her, but hopefully she'll be back soon. We will keep you updated. You can find us at www.c3witchypodcast.com. That is our website. We have our email there, so that's a great place to go to get in touch with us. We definitely get emails and respond to those. You can support us on our Patreon or on Buzzsprout, and our website has links to those as well. If you go up to the top of our website, you can see the little tabs. We have all kinds of things. You can get access to our merch there, which we have seasonal merch that comes out. Right now, I've got a Letha t-shirt that's out there that is fun, and Rin did a Llamas t-shirt that is coming up for the first Harvest Festival. And then, of course, we just have basic After Dark and basic C3 t-shirts. So go check out those. If you support us on Patreon, you get access to all kinds of goodies. Ren does a whole series of meditation, of guided meditations. I like to do coloring pages because I color all the time. It's very therapeutic. And so I'll share the ones of those that I make with you guys. So it helps us a lot if you support us. We thank you very much to those of you who do. If you can't afford to help support us monetarily, then reshare our social media, review us. Anything that you can do to get our name out there would be very helpful. We would love to do this full time. We would love to start going around the world and having conventions with people, or even being on tour to come talk to you in person. It would be fun, but we can't afford to do that right now. But anyway, thank you guys so much for everything that you do. Thank you for listening. We will be back. And until then, stay witchy.